Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cold Front. I'm Dan Giroux.
And I'm Sean Bailey, and we're going to talk today about the fall weather in addition to the winter weather forecast.
Now, in case you haven't noticed, it's been everywhere lately. AccuWeather has been predicting that Chicago will see a very cold and very snowy winter. Well, we're not here to say that they're wrong, but we're here to dispute their kind of aggressive move here.
Yeah.
So, Sean, what really is your take on this?
I mean, I feel like this is one of the most bullish forecasts I've ever seen. When you have meteorologists telling people they should move out of their city, especially a major metropolitan area like Chicago, there's something that doesn't sit right with me about that. We don't try to make out claims like that because that's a city of over 3 to 5 million people. You don't just tell them to get up and walk away. Also, the credibility of AccuWeather comes into play as well. As you mentioned, they are predicting basically the snowpocalypse again. Last year and the year before, they weren't so on track with their forecasts in the past. So I'm questioning why the media has just jumped on board of this. I mean, is it as a result of what we had last year with our epic snowstorm?
No, you know what the bottom line, I think, with it is when you get anybody making the kinds of claims like they do, especially when you look at the guy who said that everybody was going to be raptured or whatever in May or October, whatever. People see that kind of stuff, and if they're the only person that's saying something, for instance, this is the first guy to give a winter forecast at all this year, and he's going to come out and say, well, hey, you know what? People are going to pay attention to what he's saying because he's the only one saying it right now. Right.
But I mean, we do have other organizations that are predicting climate data, at least with regards to the winter here in Chicago. We do have the Climate Prediction Center, but their forecast is, I mean, the other end of the spectrum when it comes to AccuWeather's. They had a 33% chance that it would be normal for this time of year, or for this coming winter. It'd be about 31% for below average snowfall, and then about 35% chance that it would be above normal. So really, it's just spinning the dial, and you get a third of it, or 33% chance of having below or above normal. And I mean, that's really the opposite of what AccuWeather was.
Well, but that's the thing. AccuWeather is kind of like the Fox of weather forecasting. Now, I'm not saying I have any problems with Fox, but like, they're always pushing the limits, you know? That's kind of what I mean by that. When you look at what AccuWeather tried to do, you know, I think it was back in the 90s when AccuWeather tried to come up with their own warning system. And had it not been for the government stepping in and saying, hey, we can't have you doing this because all it's going to do is confuse the public. So AccuWeather is kind of on the cutting edge of pushing the limits. And I think that's something we also have to take into factor too.
I mean, I think it's good that, in a way, that they're trying to predict and, I mean, practice forecasting it. I just feel like when you project it as blatantly and as bullish as they are, I feel like that's really has some repercussions, especially with our field. I mean, we already kind of get the bad rep of, oh, well, you get paid for being 50% right. We're already kind of in that venue with the public in their eyes. So to make egregious claims like that really just doesn't sit well with me being a member of that field.
No, I do understand. But the other thing I think we need to consider too is that they do have kind of reasoning to back up their claim, but at the same time, they're being very aggressive with it. Right. Now, a lot of other people wouldn't say or make the same claims, but they're still going to be, you know, they'd be a little more towards average. You know, we have a hard enough time deciding what it's going to be like 7 days out, let alone 5 to 6 months out.
Yeah.
So for them to come out and say, well, you know what, we think it's going to be really cold and really snowy. Well, yeah, it's the winter, so maybe it will, maybe it won't. We don't know. And so how can we possibly accurately say that it's going to happen?
Exactly. And the way they say it with such certainty, considering their past track records haven't been that spectacular. In 2009, they predicted that we would have pretty much average snow or below average snow for the summer or the winter of 2009, and for the most part we got significantly above average. I mean, Chicago is about 40 to 45 inches of snow on a regular winter. We got about a little over 50 for that year, so technically they weren't on the ball there. With this past year, 2010 to 2011, where we had Snowmageddon, they predicted that it would be a wintry battle zone. That I'm directly quoting what they said and what the little red bullseye over Chicago said. But in terms of that, we really didn't get, we had two real main significant snowfall events. Other than that, we were pretty much just really cold and like below average temperatures. I mean, we had the snowstorm in December and the snowstorm in early February that people remember. But other than that, I mean, we didn't have too much in the way of any outlandish events. And you think about it, we topped out about 57 inches of snow last year. 20 of that came from Snowmageddon alone. So without that event, we would have pretty much been average.
Was really two big events that caused all of the snow. That one, and then the one that happened just before Christmas in December.
Right.
That was, you know, a real big one. And a lot of that, if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be anywhere near 50 inches.
Right.
So, yeah, there's definitely the opportunity for that to happen. Obviously, in order for us to get a ton of snow, we're going to have another Snowmageddon-like storm, I would assume, anyways.
Right.
Because when you look at how it happened last year, it wasn't slow and steady. It was a couple of big spurts, and then it was it.
Right. And then other sort of following this, I mean, just how the media has jumped out at this. I mean, especially because we had Snowmageddon last year. Everyone's kind of worried, oh, is there going to be another one? That's kind of why everyone's, I feel like, is jumping and being like, ooh, let's see what it's going to be like, especially with the winter kind of. I mean, we got a taste of it, well, at least somewhat fall with that cutoff low last week, but I feel like that kind of set everyone into, oh, winter's right behind.
You know what it could have been, though, too?
What?
Slow news day.
True. I mean, well, we've had some news go through, but for the most part, yeah, weather hasn't really done much. I mean, the tropics aren't really moving anymore,
which is good.
Yeah, very, very good. Although I do, for my own personal sake, I do want there to be a Hurricane Sean, because it will be another 6 years until there's another one.
If there is one this year.
If there is one this year.
And what if it's really big and they retire it? Then there won't ever be a Hurricane Sean again.
At least I'll know I lived a good life in the tropics.
Of course, but absolutely. I do think part of it could have been just the news being like, well, there really isn't much going on. This guy's making some pretty outrageous claims for weather. Mm-hmm. Let's go ahead and throw that on TV or the internet too.
I just wish they would have looked into their story a little bit better. To kind of judge AccuWeather based on its previous events and take that into account in the story as well. They just blatantly just said exactly what they said for this year.
But you have to understand, if they were to knock down, well, I don't want to say knock them down, but their goal, you know, as news or the media and stuff, what they want to do is make the most outrageous claims. They want to get the things that are going to be the most interesting.
The wow factor.
And when they pull that out, that's a wow. Move away from Chicago because people are going to be snowed in everywhere. That's an outrageous claim, and that's the kind of stuff that they're looking to put on the news.
Right. But I feel like when it's actually meteorologists doing it, it's...
Well, you would think that, but it's not just meteorology that kind of stuff happens too. You know,
right.
There are going to be other fields that people say things that aren't necessarily true. And those are the kind of things you have to deal with when you're dealing with the media, because that's how they are. They want to get the story. They want people to be like, oh, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So now coming up, we're going to talk more about fall, and that's the big thing. So winter we just talked about, but fall is the most important thing right now, and hopefully we'll end up getting a fall so we transition nicely into winter than just an abrupt change.
I'm Mike Targonski, and I'm on VUTV.
We're Valpo Greek Life, and we're on VUTV. We're Bacchus Gamma, and we're on VUTV.
We're the Health Center, and we're on VUTV.
Hi, I'm Pastor Jim, and I'm on VUTV.
We're Hooked on Tonics, and we're on VUTV.
And welcome back to the Cold Front. We're going to switch gears a little bit. Instead of talking about the dreaded winter forecast coming up, we're going to talk about the here and now. Talk about fall. What's really your favorite part about this season?
Well, obviously pumpkins. I really do like pumpkins. I love pumpkin pie, as you may know. We've talked about this before. And one thing I want to try out this fall that I haven't done before is having a pumpkin pie or making a pumpkin pie out of real pumpkin. Before, pumpkins always kind of come out of a can. So
which is not where they belong.
I know. I agree. I would really like to try making a real pumpkin pie this year.
Wow. I can't believe that you haven't had a natural. They're delicious. My grandma makes them all the time. And it's probably, under apple cider and apple picking, it's probably one of my favorite parts of fall. Also, you have the cool weather and the leaves falling, but overall, pumpkins. Pumpkins.
Absolutely. So that's something I want to try this fall. And then, in addition to that, obviously, we got to start thinking about carving pumpkins too.
True. Those pumpkins are meant to be carved.
Do you know what you're going to carve this year?
I think I'm going to go all weather nerd on my pumpkin. It's going to have cool cloud eyes, probably like a cumulonimbus or a storm cloud type of eye. So it kind of look like this. And for the nose, of course, I'd probably just move down a lightning bolt instead of like the Harry Potter scar. It'd probably be. And then for the mouth, I'll probably do a warm front for the lift, or for the upper lip. For the upper lip.
I see what you did there.
And then for the smile and like the teeth, it'd be a cold front.
That's cool.
Not to give away my.
Well, see, yeah, you gotta be careful because now somebody might copy you and steal that idea for the pumpkin contest.
But I don't know if anyone can make it any better than I can.
I accept that challenge. I don't know if I probably can't carve pumpkins very well. I'm not that skilled. Some people had some really impressive ones. Like last year, the tornado. That one looked like that was really hard to do. There were a lot of lines that came out of that, and how they kept it stable and still not fall apart. That was impressive.
It lasted 2 weeks. Those pumpkins were sitting on that Weather Center counter for a good 2 weeks while everyone
voted. They didn't look good after that 2 weeks, that's for sure.
Yeah, that tornado kind of fell in on itself a little bit.
Yeah, it didn't go into its ropey stage, unfortunately.
No, it squashed itself. Squash.
I see what you did there. Yeah, that's 2 right there already.
But yeah, we also have to think of how we're going to dispose the pumpkins this year. I promised people that we might be able to have the first pumpkin launch here in Valpo.
Really? Like with the catapult and stuff?
I think so. We'll put all our heads together and see what we can come up
so it's
with.
going to be like pumpkin chunking?
Yeah.
Oh, that stuff's awesome.
I've heard they do that before.
Yeah,
in other places.
Yeah, they're like catapults. They make their own very intricate designs. They're not just medieval catapults anymore. These things, I think some of them might be like air powered too now or something. And it's whoever launches the pumpkin the farthest gets the cash or prize, whatever it is.
We could compete with other, schools on campus too.
Oh, well, I don't. Do you really want to compete against, like the engineering kids and the physics kids and stuff? Like, that could be kind of difficult.
You know what though? We have something on our side that they don't have.
Oh yeah.
You think about it, they're just gonna launch it purely with the surface in mind. We meteorologists think above. Everything is correlated from the top.
Way to think of my idea, Sean. No. I see where you're going. You got to use the upper atmosphere, though. Mm-hmm. So as long as you got a source of lift, you're good to go.
That pumpkin's going to go.
Uh-huh. Because you get the instability, and then, so we got to do it on a hot day.
Yep, because heat helps that situation.
And then we're going to need the source of lift. So actually, what if we use the catapult as the source of lift? That just means we have to get it straight up. And then if we launch it straight up, if it goes high enough, then we just let the upper atmosphere take care of the rest.
But, we also have to consider that the atmosphere could blow it in the opposite direction. So we could...
It doesn't matter which direction it goes as long as it goes the furthest distance.
Well, okay, let's say they have it lined up. You have to shoot it that way.
Well, then we make sure we shoot it to the east.
But what if the atmosphere decides to throw it the opposite direction?
But if you get it up to 300 millibars, it doesn't matter.
That actually isn't as hard of a challenge as you might think. I mean, you think about it, we have all these little sources of lift within the atmosphere that we could
Balloon.
tap.
Well, actually, now that
We
you
could
mention
tie
it,
a weather
isn't
balloon
that
to a pumpkin.
we could either tie a weather balloon to a pumpkin, or also we have to consider the pumpkin. Other than we have to include its weight, but we can consider the pumpkin as a parcel of air.
True. Essentially, this pumpkin is conditionally unstable. You just need to get it up there for it to be unstable.
And then there you go. As long as we get it up high enough into the jet stream, then we're good to go.
I mean, it could fly. It could land in New York for all we know.
That would be awesome.
Take that,
no,
engineer.
that's what, you know what we need to do too, is we need to tag it and say property of Valparaiso University, return for $20, like we do with the radio signs.
We could. I mean, yeah, and especially if there's a low pressure system coming in, I mean, we could have the cold front, we could have some warm air advection helping bring that thing up. I mean,
We need to do this in the spring in Texas. Go visit Lisa and then get right along the dry line. Well, no, that's not a source of lift, is it? It kind of is, but
yeah.
it's like, yeah.
you could use it as one. I mean, it's the boundary between the moist air and the dry air.
It's not gonna, I don't know how well that would work out though.
But you know what, as long as we have some form of lift, this pumpkin's gonna fly.
We need lift. That's all right. We'll take that on. Now coming up, we're going to talk more about fall, so stay tuned, guys.
Yo, my name is Wes Strick, and I'm on VUTV.
We're Hooked on Tonics, and we're on VUTV.
I'm President Heckler, and I'm on VUTV.
I'm Connor Lott, and I'm on VUTV.
I'm Chris Kleinon Schultz, and I'm on VUTV.
I'm Jordan Lewis, and I'm on VUTV.
I'm Albert Hurd, and I'm on VUTV.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Now that fall is here, we do have something important to talk about. Just because it's fall doesn't mean that hurricane season's over, right, Sean?
Nope. I mean, it technically goes from June 1st all the way up until November 1st. So we're not out of the woods just yet. I mean, really, September is the peak month for hurricanes. So the fact that we're just kind of getting out of September still, we still have all those warm ocean waters. I mean, we still have plenty of fuel for the fire for these storms to develop.
Absolutely. I remember Katrina, that was right around early September, wasn't it?
Late August, yeah.
And then what else? There was Hurricane Wilma, I believe.
And that was later than Katrina was.
And right now we are currently on Felipe, I believe.
We're Felipe.
Felipe,
on
I'm
the
not
P.
too sure, yeah. So, and then what comes after that?
Irina will be next.
Okay.
She replaced Hurricane Rita back in 2005.
Yeah, that was a big one.
She was another big one that kind of followed Katrina.
Wow, you know, now that I think about it, so if Rita was the same year as Katrina, and Katrina was early September, you think all the Ks, or from K all the way to at least R, was taken care of? I think there was more than that. We might have gone through the whole alphabet that year.
I believe we did. We went into the Greek
Yeah, I
alphabet.
think
We
we
went
did.
alpha, beta, gamma. I think we got all the way up to epsilon. We had tropical storm epsilon.
So, I mean, when you think about how many storms there were after September, there were a ton. So that's definitely something we need to keep in mind here.
Right. I mean, and the Weather Service uses a rotation. So every 6 years, there's a different list out. So 2005's list is the same as 2011's list, with some minor changes. I mean, Katia now replaces Katrina after its retiring. Rita is now replaced with Rena. Sean, is now in place of Stan. So they really just changed one letter, but to get a similar name. But you get the picture. So it'll be 2017 when these names come back.
That's good. I think it's only fitting this year that we have, hopefully that we have a Hurricane Sean, because last year there was a Hurricane Lisa. Lisa, as you may know, was our weather director last year, and she was really excited about that. Now, so unfortunately, it didn't really do anything. It just kind of sat out in the Atlantic Ocean and didn't hurt anything. I know she was a little disappointed that it wasn't stronger, but you know what? It didn't hurt anybody, and that's good news.
Yeah.
But it would be fitting that this year there's a Hurricane Sean. Unfortunately, no Hurricane Dan, no Hurricane Danny. I'll get over it though. But so yeah, Sean would be the next best thing, right?
Right. And then we're going to continue on from there.
Absolutely. So guys, if you have any story ideas or things you'd like to learn about that relate to the weather, please let us know. ValpoVUTV@gmail.com. For the Cold Front, I'm Dan Giroux.
I'm Sean Bailey. Thank you for watching.